Hi, and welcome to another episode of She Leads Biotech, the podcast where we celebrate the achievements of women in the life sciences. Today's guest is someone whose career has been shaped not by rigid timelines or five-year plans, but by a relentless commitment to always doing better. From the very beginning, she's been driven by one simple question: am I still learning? And can I contribute more? At every stage of her career, she's pushed herself to go deeper, take on more responsibility, and move forward only when she knew she was truly ready. Her journey spans hands-on science, program leadership, discovery through to the clinic, and the building and mentoring of high-performing teams. Rather than chasing titles, she focused on gaining the experience that mattered, learning every part of the process and stretching herself into roles that challenged her thinking and expanded her impact. When the opportunity to step into the C-suite came, it wasn't rushed and it wasn't accidental. It was the natural result of years of deliberate choices, honest self-reflection, and the confidence to say, I can do this and I can do it well. And do it well she does, with a strong sense of responsibility for the people, the science, and the company as a whole. So please welcome Chief Scientific Officer at Ankyra Therapeutics, Sailaja Battula. Hi, Sailaja, how are you?
Hi, Sharon. Good afternoon. Very
Good.
nice to sit with you today.
It's lovely to have you here. Thank you for joining us on the show. Where am I speaking to you from? Where are you based?
I'm based in Lexington, Massachusetts.
Okay, so we're in the same time zone. That's
Yes.
that's that's always a good. I haven't dragged you out of bed or something in the middle of the night to
No, no,
talk to me.
no. I'm full on for a long time now.
Excellent. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, listen, I really appreciate you joining us. I'm fascinated by your story. You almost seem to have like a textbook
Yes.
growth, right? I'm sure it isn't, but your career's taken you from kind of scientist to chief scientific officer, which I want to spend some time talking about. But how did it all start for you? I mean, did somebody buy you a chemistry set for Christmas when you were 5 or something, and you were like, "Yay, this is it"? What was your journey? How did it start?
No, I actually, first of all, Sharon, thanks for reaching out. I have seen your podcast, the guests that you have on the show. I'm actually very honored to be one of those. So, I'm flattered that you reached out to me. But in the first call, the first question I asked you is, what's your motive of doing this? And you're like, I want to celebrate the women that have been in this role, which actually resonated with me. It's not just me, right? Like, it's important for people to see that, to get to hear, there is a trajectory people followed. And again, all of us have our own ways of getting to where we get, but it's good for the younger generation, like, not to freak out. Every path leads to where you want. At any given time, you can get to where you want, if your heart wants to. So I think it's good to listen through. Definitely, I am looking forward to share few things that I have learned and that worked for me that I would not repeat. Again, few things. Where it started is in my home farm. I want to say I come from South India, born and brought up in a very humble beginnings. My parents are both it's a farming family.
Okay.
It's like cows and like buffalo, water buffaloes, if like for
Oh,
milk. So my
okay.
house,
Out there feeding the chickens at 4 in the morning and that sort of thing?
no chickens, but
No
more of
chickens.
like cattle. So it's like
Okay, so
yes,
milking the cows and stuff like
yes,
that.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
not something you'd find me doing. I'm not really with these nails. It doesn't really work for me
So
to do that. Okay, so
that's
that's where you started on a farm.
that's where like my father went like studied until fourth grade, and my mom didn't attend any school. But like my father wakes up every single day 2:30, and we all are like awake by 4 5. It's like very active in the family. And when my mom takes care of milking, and my private time with my father, and he's like very knowledgeable person, very rooted into the community, always talking about the things that we can do in how to help people. It's like it's there in him. And one day he was telling me, I remember this so much from very early on, like he was like, I studied until fourth grade, it's not like the most education I could get, but then we are doing well financially. He used to say, education is more that you can do something for the society, that gives you like leeway to help people. So it's always there for me. Like for me, education is default, needs to happen, and default, I will help people. It's never about what money, what role, it's never there.
But it's not a personal, what can I make for me? It's about how you can help other people.
Yeah,
Excellent.
still been always, that's my radar of the things that I do. So from very early on, I'm a nerdy student always. I have been, the first one to go into college in family. And few things I learned over the way because, there are some hiccups and, not so straightforward. But I have been always independent, own my decisions, no regrets in whatever I do is like, and so in that way, from early on, I wanted to be it's called IAS, like Indian Administrative Service. It's like, I don't know, equivalent of US word. It's an administrative service, either that or in teaching. It's like,
Okay.
I want to own my own school and,
Okay. No, you were out there, weren't you, with your thinking? It wasn't straight. Do you know, I have to say, I fully expected you to say to me, yeah, well, my first thing was to be a doctor and I
yes,
was going to go to medical school.
yes,
And I know that that's so cliche
yes.
of asking people who are in the scientific field, but I've heard it so many times that that was really what I was expecting. Land, not so much what I was expecting. That's fantastic. And so what did you study? Where did you go and what did
Yes,
you
I
study?
went to school. All my schooling is back in India until masters. So
Okay.
I did my undergrad in science based, we have three majors, biochemistry, microbiology, and nutrition. So it's like 3 years post graduation is 2 years in biochemistry.
Okay.
So, and then I wanted to be in teaching, that I wanted to pursue a PhD. So I was applying and I was very close to getting admissions, and then I got married. And ours is an arranged marriage. It all happened very quickly. So my husband is a PhD too. So we both came to US and I came on J2 visa. He's an exchange. He's a postdoc. He came as a postdoc from India. Then I came on J2, which is it lets you work. So
Okay.
in like a month I am here, I started working in the next lab to my husband. So based on my
Okay. All right.
masters.
So you were lab partners almost,
Yes, building partners at that point.
building partners. Close enough.
Close enough. Yeah, yeah.
Keeps the spark alive or not.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. So I have worked in the lab for an year, and we had our first child. And I was like, I applied for a role sometime around that time when I was expecting, and I got an interview at one of the biotech companies. That's the only biotech. This is in Michigan. So Michigan Lansing. He was postdoc at Michigan State. So that's the only company. They make allergen based kits, like food allergies,
Okay. Yeah,
peanut
if you're
allergy.
allergic to something.
Yes, yes. So I applied for a scientist role, a research scientist role. My daughter was 2 months old then. She's a December born. So I went to February for the interview, and she's so tiny. It's just me and my husband. And he's not very comfortable having the baby by himself. So we literally took her to the
So she's been
interview.
brought up in a lab, right?
Yes, yes.
Tell
And
me
then
she's a doctor or a scientist now.
she's a med student now. Yeah, she's in medical. You
Oh,
guessed
I
it well.
figured that. Yeah, it had to be, didn't it? It's like, your parents are both on the stage or something and you're brought up in they say in the
I
traveling
know, right?
box.
I know,
So
right? It's like, yeah,
it's
it's like,
predetermined.
I know. So
So you
we
spent some time as a scientist
I
and
spent some time so that's a QC scientist. I applied for a research scientist, but then I went with the babies. Like in 2 months, 2 days time later, the person that interviewed me looks like they have another opening in the QC, and the head of QC called me saying that, I heard you came for an interview in scientist role, it's that it's like too many hours. And again, I'm a new mom, I know what it is. Literally, she has like 4-month baby and I had 2-month baby. She's like,
Okay.
and then she's like, this one gives you more dependable hours. I needed a job and it sounded exciting, and I am actually pretty happy that even I got to work in that environment. And it's fascinating, for me. It's almost like I can say, Sharon, like reflecting back, I did many roles. Not even a single role I felt like I didn't learn from it. It's like,
Yeah.
so the QC taught me organizational skills and, very like data driven to the T, the pipetting to experimental setup to data integrity. It's all like very well trained. So it was time for us to change the visa status, and then because J visa comes with period, and then my husband was like, you wanted to go to grad school, if that is still in your wish, this is about time. So I took my GRE TOEFL. I went to grad school when the older one was close to 3 years.
Oh, wow. So you were doing grad school and you had a 3-year-old as well.
Yes.
Goodness me.
So grad school, again, I was intentional to be in pharmacology. I did my master's in biochemistry, but always fascinated about drug discovery in general. Conceptually, that's very exciting for me.
Okay.
So I only applied for pharmacology programs. I got into a program, and my program is in my PhD is in pharmacology, and
Okay.
it's more of understanding inflammation in hypertension. And as I am finishing PhD, I had my second one, and then did my postdoc at UC. Again, I wanted to keep my inflammation component, but then want to expand into different disease indications, and cancer is one of them. It's more of the vast majority of the cancer types, and the people and the suffering. It's just like so much to do. Just conceptually, I'm like, I wanted to work in this space, and that's why my postdoc is in at UCSF under Lisa Cousins and Courtney Broadus. They are working on role of myeloid cells in oncology. That's how I got transitioned into immuno-oncology.
Okay.
From then on, luckily, that's about the time when we have our first IO agents approved, checkpoint inhibitors came. So much sudden flux of the priority for more immuno-oncology, understanding the resistant mechanisms, and that's how all my field has emerged into. And when I was finishing postdoc, I was initially, as I was telling, I do have interest in teaching. That's the main reason I was even thinking about PhD to the begin with. But again, as I was getting better in my research skill, I'm like, oh, I can do better in this. It's more of every inflection point. Like my undergrad is microbiology, nutrition, and food science. Nutrition, microbiology, and biochemistry, I used to thoroughly enjoy nutrition. But then I'm like, I could do better. It's more challenging myself a little bit extra. Same with me, like when I actually got an offer to be a lecturer in the Bay Area in one of the universities, and I'm like, but I do research better. I think I can do better in this too. And then that's how I started applying for industry. And my husband was already in industry by then, and I naturally have so many understanding of what to expect. I worked in an industry setting before going to grad school, so I kind of know
You knew what was the
what I
expectation.
am expecting. So my first industry job, I have to say, it's not as simple as you apply and you get it. Naturally, it takes time. That transition is the hardest, I think. I can say I must have applied close to 200 applications easily. I was in Bay Area.
And why do you think that is? I mean, I hear that a lot, the transition from science, from the bench to into
Mm,
industry.
mm. I will
What is
tell
it
you.
that industry doesn't think you have?
Yeah, I will tell you because now I am on the other side of
Yeah.
hiring, right? So main thing is at least the way, as a manager, when I am reviewing the application, I usually look at the complementary skills of my team, right? Like if I have 5 people in my team already established, and if this person is coming, if their PhD topic is so important for us, like somebody that is studying, say, NK cells, and we need that, I would not hesitate to bring that person in the sense that there is some training period involved. The way you do is different. The documentation, the goals that you do, like there is very clear defined goal of going to next step in projects, right? In industry. So there is some training, like from academia to industry. That's a given thing. It's
Yeah.
just that if I have enough people in my team and they are bringing the skill set, like at least the brain power and the skills, like some asset that they have developed is so important to us, some concept that they have come. If I see value, I would not mind bringing them. In
Okay.
the same scenario, if my team is already small and I don't have that complementary people that can overlap in the time this person can come and train, then I can't afford to bring people like that. It's like that's how I look at, like,
Yeah. That
in
makes
my
sense.
team too, like I hired, my first hire is directly from academia. I needed a person that can do certain assays reproducibly well, and I took that person. Like in my current company, the same. They directly, very like 1 year experience out of grad school, and I was comfortable taking because I have like a network of support for them to come and. Again, you have to put them for success too.
I
When
was
they
going to
come in.
say that's it. You've got to set them up for success, haven't you?
Exactly,
And if you
exactly.
don't have the manpower, you don't have the resources,
Yes,
then you're doing them a disservice because
exactly.
you're going to be setting them up for failure, right?
Exactly. Important pieces, all this, it's like totality of you need to get your work done, your team has to deliver. At the same time, it has to be a good experience for them. Everybody has to move on to their respective progression. So
Yeah.
I think that industry, it's, you believe it or not, my first industry job is based on my job that I did in Lansing, like immediately after. It's not just based on, it's, again, definitely based on my postdoc work, but the key is they needed somebody with GLP experience, and which
Right.
I had like before my grad school.
Right.
And once I was in there, I was doing many experiments specific for immunology, but again, I was supporting what they need, like a additional support in the GLP lab that they had. So I think there are, for anybody that is looking into that transition, it's there, it's given that it's hard, but it's not impossible. You
But
just have to find.
the trick, from what it sounds, from what you're saying, is to make sure you're applying
Yes.
for something where you can really demonstrate
Yes.
knowledge,
Yes.
passion.
Yes.
What can you bring to the party
Correct.
at this? Not just well, I'm a scientist who wants to get out of academia and I want to do this, so I'm just going to apply blanketly everywhere. The more you
Focused.
can show your the value that you could bring
Correct.
to that particular department within
Correct.
industry is
Yes.
where you're more likely to get.
I agree. That is true to every role I have gotten so far, Sharon. Like every transition I had, I always, whenever I thought I needed a transition, I always very thoughtful in applying. My way of looking is, can I visualize myself in this role? Can I contribute? I don't expect myself to be 100% suitable, but at the same time, can I visualize that I can bring value to them? And does this role teach me something that I want to learn?
Right.
if you believe in it, I think it's most likely you can convince the other people. Every transition I had 2 or 3 offers in my hand before I can select to what I want to go. Because again, nothing magical. It's because I put thought. I don't want to send resumes. And again, you have to respect the other people interviewing you. They are wasting their time and effort. So you respect that component of it too. So
Yeah.
you are making it easy for people that are considering you by providing you giving that proper thought that you are bringing value to their team, and
And they can tell literally right
yes,
from the first interview, right?
I
Is that,
agree.
yes, we're
Yes,
cutting through. Obviously, in the current climate, that's been a little more difficult, I think,
I
mainly
agree.
because it's so easy to apply for jobs these
Yes,
days
yes,
that people just click a button and you can apply, right? And so, cutting through the noise to really make sure, and I've been saying that, I mean, the whole of 2025, all I kept saying to candidates was, please don't just apply
I
for
agree.
anything and
I
everything.
agree. I
Be
agree.
very, very specific,
Correct.
because then you can cut through all the noise
Yes,
and get directly to, this is why you should hire me,
correct.
as opposed to the 10,000 other people that are
I
applying for your
agree.
jobs.
I agree. And I hired 3 people last year. The first, again,
I'll forgive
400
you for them not being through me because you didn't know me then. I can't blame you if you didn't know me, but we'll talk about that going forward.
Yes.
Sorry, you were saying 3 people you hired.
No, but I did have 400 applications for one role, 200 applications for one role. I have read through all of them. If somebody says, oh, maybe it's too many that we are not, I don't think so, because as much as clearly as I'm saying, as much as someone needs that role, we want the right person
Of
for that
course,
role too.
absolutely, yeah.
I don't I used to block my calendars, hours, few hours in a week, go through that. But I can see it. Even if some of them are cookie cutter, I still can see what the person I'm looking for.
Can bring, yeah.
Person on the team now is like from the day I interviewed to they got the offer is within 3 weeks. They even started within 3 weeks because I know the exact from day one he brings value to the team, and
Yep.
it's the same for all the people I have interacted with. Again, it's having that confidence that somebody is reviewing my application. It's a powerful thing.
Yep.
You can't think they're not reading your resume. You have to apply with the intention that this is the role I'm bringing value to. I need to convince these people. Again, understandably, it's a hard market, tough market, but still, my husband used to say, you just need one job. Initially, when I was applying, it was hard. It takes time. I think that's the attitude. You just need one job, but you just have to be persistent.
Your career, as I said at the beginning, it's almost like textbook
Yes,
stuff. So
yes,
it's very obvious, and certainly speaking to you now,
yes,
I can certainly see how that you've been very deliberate
yes,
about the
yes,
things that you've approached, and you did the scientist, senior scientist,
correct,
associate director, director, senior director, vice president.
correct,
Each time, I think, building out your knowledge and your experience with immuno-oncology and inflammation and
correct,
autoimmunity, yeah?
correct.
And then you're now the chief scientific officer. What planning and what prep did you do to say, that's my, I'm VP, that's my next move is going to be that in the C-suite? How did you prepare for that move into the C-suite?
So, Sharon, I have to say, coming from VP to CSO is not that a preparation. All the way through has been a preparation.
Okay.
So, I will
And what
say,
sort? Tell me what sort of prep you've been doing
yes,
throughout your career,
yes,
as it sounds,
I
to
will.
prepare you for that. What has that
Yeah,
been like?
so one thing I have to say is when I was moving from applied immunology. It's more a custom CRO. It's like, immunology assays for the clients, and then I was moving from there to Boston area and, like getting into industry roles. The CEO there, now my very good friend, he was asking me, where do you see yourself? And I said, I want to be a CSO, but, it's very like it looks lot of time commitment, and I had very young kids. I can't foresee like like what I will do in next. I'm like, I can't spend that much time with on in work. He gave me an example. He worked at Amgen. He's like, Amgen CEO. He closes his laptop at Friday, and then Monday he opens up. He gives permission for himself and the team not to work. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And then, yeah, that if that is not the roadblock, I can think about it. And then
Right.
every place I have been, I see what a CSO role is. If you ask me, even like 10 years back, I have that thing. What skill set do I need to be a CSO? All round discovery, right? Again, I never gave myself timelines on anything. Again, there is, as I said, from where I came from, I am already on a credit side.
But I thought you would. I have to say, I thought you'd be the person that's like, here's my 5-year plan, and then here's my 10-year plan, and by year 8, I'm going to be here. But you haven't. It's been very
Not the
deliberate.
years, exactly, not the years. The
Yeah.
things that I am doing, or in the sense, I will tell you, when I was at Pharma, so much discovery experience, moving from the molecules from until candidate nominations, sitting through the molecules that are transitioning into the clinic. I'm like, oh yeah, I have this experience. Well, I was scientist supporting multiple programs as a project lead, working with multiple teams, like functional areas, getting that expertise of working, throughout the functional areas, championing the program. And when the program I was leading was set to park, and I was like, I didn't have to move, but I don't have much learning now. So let me find a role where I can take my project leadership skills. The immuno-oncology was just emerging then, and then I was like, one or two people that have the background of the science. But again, that gives me an opportunity to move the program from discovery into the clinic. I wanted to see it because
Right. You're moving that needle each time.
exactly. So I went there, strong immunology into the programs, but again, I have been leading these programs into candidate nomination. We had multiple candidates nominated at that time. It is during COVID, it's a public company. I didn't have to move, but then the program I just nominated the candidate, and it was put on park because of the other programs in the pipeline, which is very normal. I started working in discovery, and my husband saw this role in like on the at that time I was applying for immuneering. He's like, oh, it's like starting an immunology group from discovery. It's like building the team. And I saw the I saw the reviews, and I have to start discovery programs now. This seems like a good place for me, and I have all this experience. Let me go to a place where I can, like build from the scratch the team. So I was working with the head of R&D there, and then that's what I did. And then the same team, for a few reasons, the same team moved to Ankyra. This is like 2001 in August. And
Right.
again, there, I was introduced to the CSO there at that time, and he asked me, what do you want to do? And at that time, we just had our first molecule nominated. I was employee number 5. I said to him, for me, is preclinical is my bread and butter. I will help for the program on that one, but I wanted all the translational experience into the clinic. And our CSO at that point, he said, give me a couple of weeks. I don't have job description written. Let me get back to you in 2 weeks, my title is Senior Director of Translational Research. That's exactly what I wanted to do. Like you were asking if, your resume looks like cookie cutter. That's like literally a cookie cutter for me. It's like so humbling. First time for me, I was prepared and extra prepared to make sure I'm doing the right things for the program because, it's not about me at that point, right? The program has to succeed. I have to do the right things. Me not knowing is not an option. It's like thinking through. Again, I have done bits and pieces of it, but again, making very diligent effort. And again, I'm not alone. I have a team, like very experienced people around me, owning it, but again, making sure you are depending on your team to get to where you want. So that is, I can say I was leading the program, I was VP of Translational and R&D eventually, and it's literally when I got like the first clinical sample data from the clinic. Is like, if you ask me, there is some code that says like, remind like 5 years back, you thought where you wanted to be. That's exactly, I proved to myself. And now is like, I have experience in discovery, into the IND phase 1, and then it's the totality of what a CSO should know. It's more of I got to experience the tiny details involved in every role. And
the role that you've got now, Chief Scientific Officer, is at Ankyra.
Yes.
It's the company that you've been at for 4+ years,
yes,
where you started as the senior, as you said, Senior Director Translational Research, VP Research and Development. What did you do? Did you go kind of knocking on the CSO's door and say, time's up, I'm about to sit in your chair? I'm assuming you didn't do that, but how did you know when the time was ready? Or did the people at Ankyra know that now was the time?
No, it's actually a good question you asked, Sharon. Again, as I said, I wanted to be a CSO, not that I have a timeline for it. It just so happened that the starting of last year, at that time, CSO left for another role. So the opening came up, and then last year was very important year for Ankyra. Being embedded as employee 5 at a company where you are like, living and breathing on a daily basis, what is important for your group and for your company. So I was like, before we find somebody, I need to fill this discovery role. Last year was very important for us in our phase 1. Our lead program is in the clinic. It's out there, it's functioning. We just need to treat number of people to get the readouts. But then it's equally important we build our pipeline. It's like what else? Because we have been waiting that initial proof of concept for our lead molecule. Right. Which we have hints of it by then, and then it's like very important to build the pipeline and bringing another person, and everything takes time. Like it's not like magically you will have a CSO in a day's time. So I went to our CEO. I brought in all the head of project management, business development, CMC, and I'm like, these are the things that we need to do. Again, the time is ticking. I can get this. If you all agree on the plan, I can get this started. And then we were looking for CSO roles. The position is open. Like we were interviewing few candidates, and our CEO is interviewing, and they are coming through me. In the meanwhile, I'm like, if I am doing this, I want to do this well. I want to do the right way. What are the resource gaps we have? What are the expertise gaps we have? So I sketched out, the functions that needs to be filled out while we are even interviewing, and it's almost like close to May time frame, and we started making progress. I started hiring people. So more of interviewing the candidates. Once I saw then first, second, third candidate, I started realizing
I can do this.
Looking at the resumes, I started realizing, if they can believe in themselves, like I have one is more like a turning point.
Yeah.
It's like I saw the resume, excellent person, like very talented, excellent person, but I can say like I have more
but no better than you. Basically that was it, right? Very, very good person, excellent experience, but no better than you are.
Exactly.
And you're there, and so it becomes almost like a natural progression that that you would
It
do for that.
almost made me the first, second, third candidate. I started realizing that I know what is needed at Ankyra very well. It's like a realization point.
Yeah.
I have team like my colleagues. It's so amazing, Sharon. My colleagues that are like a few men, they were like, you have to apply. You are ready. It's so much sounding board, and then our CEO and CFO, and like if you didn't realize yet, it's like you should think, and so it all
So
happened very
you
organic.
didn't throw your hat in the ring from the outset on it.
Not from the day one. So
Okay.
even
You were kind of like, yeah, okay, let me help you find the person,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then was the realization
And
that hang
then
on a
I
minute.
realized, but again, even then, I did my diligence, though. I have to say, I have few people in my network. I can pick a call. Can we go for a walk? Can we go for a talk? What am I missing? I have this opportunity. I want to apply. Am I ready? How do I even know I'm ready? I
Yeah.
want to succeed. I want to be here, do well for the company, do well for myself. So few people I met, it's amazing, Sharon, the kind of network and like the few bullet points of questions people were asking me. Like I met my former colleague at another company. I talked to her and she's like, you are asking all the right questions. You are ready. And like, and the first head of HR at Pharma, I reached out to her, what am I missing? And I just want to talk to her, and Mary Wadlinger is huge respect to her. She said, I just, so there is this opportunity, Mary. I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm missing. I need to brainstorm a little bit. She's like, I am away for a board meeting. Let me come back. She gave me 1 hour time. She remembered how I was as a scientist, which is like,
Kudos. Yeah.
even as a scientist, I knew you will be here. And she reminded me the things that we did together. I was part of communication committee at Pharma. Many career development opportunities she has brought. I was very active, like actively benefited from it. That's the power I went into when I threw my ring into it.
You said, I'm ready now. So, what changed most for you when you stepped into that CSO?
Yeah. I have to say, I look at things differently now. Like again, from day one, I am in any company. I am not a kind of person. I just do my work and go home. Because I care, I care. I'm completely embedded in where I am. I pay attention to what's going on, the temperament of the company, the culture. I do pay attention. Even here, I have been paying attention all the time, but there is one other person above me in the C-suite that's representing my function. There is always that feeling before, but now, no. Now I feel like I am responsible for this. I am responsible for the culture of the company. I want my teams to succeed, my programs to succeed. What else can I do? How should I message this? Is there anything else we need to be doing for, bringing the teams together? It's just different thinking. You elevate yourself. It's not just about you minding your own thing and doing it. Step up a little bit. Just before this call, I was meeting our CEO and was like, we should work on the messaging of our slides. I need to carve out a couple of hours. We were brainstorming. Everything is scale up. If you want to say, I have been, as you saw, many promotions so far. This is a separate level.
Well, I think the thing is the previous ones have all been like operational, right?
Yes.
So you've moved from,
Yes.
associate director, senior director, VP, but they've still been operational roles.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think when you then sit at the top, when you're in
Yes.
the C-suite there, it's much more kind of helicopter.
Yes.
Other people are doing the operation and you're making sure that they
Yes.
have the tools and they have
Exactly.
everything ready to go. So it's a real shift in mindset, right?
Yes.
Because the natural reaction is to keep still doing the operation side, right? It's like, oh no, let me do that. Let me jump in on that bit. Have you felt that, and how do you fight it if you
Nah, I was always very intentional in one thing, Sharon. It's more of the clarity I have in leadership and management. I don't think it's as a scientist, especially, we are not trained or exposed in these things. Over the years, for the last 10 years, I have to say, I've been very intentional about getting that extra help. What leadership is, what management is. Like at pharma, especially, we were multitude of career development opportunities at that point.
They're part of Novo Nordisk, aren't they now? Are they?
Yes,
They're
yes.
Novo Nordisk.
Yeah. What it helps you is it makes you self-aware. Especially when I started going through all this, that's exactly when I started getting direct reports. So you are new to the game, you don't have like a cookie cutter way of doing things, and you're incorporating what you're learning from the experiences of, like people around the table, and, like slowly I am very self-aware, like, very self-aware of how I lead, how much space my team needs. If somebody needs more time, I give more of my time. If they can handle it, again, when they come, is that initial training period is very important. Once I have that confidence, I am very clear with my team too. I have my own deliverables too. I'm not here to do any of your job.
Right,
you guys have to enjoy doing it. It's just that understanding that fine detail. It's constant self reflection of, like, let your trust component of it, right? They are there for a reason. Every person is there for a reason. And being in science, the best part is you get to work with the brightest people. I tell to my kids too, if there is one reason you have to study hard, is you can get to work with good people, bright people. That's the respect I have for my colleagues, and so I try my best. So give the space that they need, and for me, do the things that I need to do.
So my final question for you, because I'm very conscious of the time that you've given me today. Looking back, if you were to go and speak to scientist Sailaja, however many years ago that was, what would you say to her now about leadership and about her journey?
If you ask me what I would tell to myself as a younger self, I would say maybe don't have to be that serious and nerdy.
Submit.
But as a scientist, I think I did the best of what I could do, Sharon. Like, I have to say, doing a PhD as with 2 kids, that's not the best thing I could have done. Again, I have like huge family support, and I am so grateful for my parent, my siblings, even my nephews, and everybody is like cheering for me. I have so much of that covered at home.
Right. Does that put more pressure on, though, if everybody's cheering for you?
I don't think so, at least not for me, because my bar to myself is always higher than
I was going to say, it's already up there. It's already Olympian, so without anybody else.
My husband and my kids, it's like a together journey. It's like I never had, this is work, this is home. It's all integrated, and we 4 of us champion together. So it's like equal in everything. So as a scientist now, so definitely being a little bit proactive. I remember when my kids were young, I don't have so much time to go for networking opportunities outside of work, but LinkedIn was that for me. I spent time. What do I need from a scientist to senior scientist? What skill sets do I need from senior scientist to LinkedIn? You can learn so much. It's like silent. It's like one Sunday afternoon. Just spend like couple of hours. Everything focused, a little bit thought. Again, we have to live our lives.
Well, you seem to live your life and still study to do that, which I think is, I mean, I have to say, it is amazing discipline. For me, sometimes on a Sunday, all I want to do is sit with Jessica Fletcher and Murder, She Wrote, and do those back to back all day. you've had an incredible journey, and meeting you and speaking to you, it is very clear why you are where you are now and how deliberate I think your journey has been. What happens now? I mean, obviously you haven't been in the CSO role for very long, so I guess we've got a while to go while you but are you already thinking about what's next, or do you?
In the career progression wise, I will go as it comes, but again, there is so much to learn and
Yep,
sharpen myself as CSO.
yep.
So it's more of I am excited for the opportunity and this experience, the things that I can do in this capacity. And at Ankyra, especially, there are, this year, especially, very important year for us. Our clinical study will be reading. We nominated our second molecule for like the next IND, and like just so much enthusiasm in the company.
It's exciting times.
Yes, exactly. So, it's more my immediate goal is to focus on the success of Ankyra.
Excellent. And as it should be, obviously. So,
Yes.
well, listen, thank you so much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I know that you're going to absolutely smash it as the Chief Scientific Officer at Ankyra, and I'm sure they know that as well, and what you're bringing to the role. I wish you every success. I'm really looking forward to following the journey. I can't wait to see all the different things that you're doing.
Oh,
And hopefully we can maybe later in the year, do a catch up or something and see how, particularly with the things that Ankyra is working on as to where you are.
yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Sharon. This I
You're
didn't
welcome.
even realize the time passed by 1 hour.
I know, right? Well, listen, thank you so much again.
Thanks so much.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yes, thank
All
you
right.
so much. Yeah,
Take care.
happy Friday. Yeah, talk
Bye
to
bye.
you.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me for this episode of She Leads Biotech. If today's story inspired you, subscribe, follow, and comment, because when one woman's voice is heard, many more find theirs. Until next time, stay curious, stay courageous, and keep leading.